All right, so we are in, page 29 in our notebooks. We're starting a new chapter, chapter 2, section 1, conditional statements. Now I passed out those reference sheets. Again, it says geometry reference sheet at the top. This is yours. You can use it at all times. What this is, guys, it's the reference sheet you get on the CRT for geometry. So I want to make sure you guys get used to it, so it's not just like, what is this when it comes to CRT? So the first thing we're going to use is in the bottom, let me think, left corner. Today we're talking about, see where it says logic, reasoning? Do you see that? All of that stuff we're going to talk about. Allie, what's the first thing under logic, reasoning? Okay, and then it's something weird, right? All right, so the first thing is conditional. Guys, shout it out. What does it say after conditional? Okay, so that's what I'm going to teach you about today. It's actually super helpful that that's on your reference sheet, but I've got to teach you what the heck that means. What does the P mean and what does the Q mean? Let's do one more. Is inverse after that? Converse is after that. Okay, converse. Now, you guys haven't had practice, but I've had tons of practice. Converse, I think, switch, check me. On your reference sheet, is it Q, arrow P? Yeah. Check it. Nice, okay. I have an advantage because I've done this, right? Okay, so let's go to our notebooks, and we'll keep going back to this reference sheet. So the first thing in your notebooks is conditional statement. Guys, a conditional statement is a statement that is in if-then form. So you can take a sentence and toss in an if, toss in an then, and make it a conditional statement. So let me think of something ridiculous. All right, Miss Bateman watches Biggest Loser and cries. That's just a statement. Maybe it's true. I don't know. All right, so if we're going to make it conditional, it would have to be if Miss Bateman watches Biggest Loser, then she cries. Guys, let's write that ridiculous statement in there because we can use it to demonstrate the other ones. Let's just put if Bateman. We'll make it nice and short. So if Bateman watches, you know what, do you care if I change it? I'm going to put Babe. Do you know the movie Babe? If Bateman watches Babe, then she cries. And we don't have to write all of that stuff. There we go. So the original statement could be, Bateman watches Babe, the movie, and she cries. True statement, I can't help it. All right, so we change it to if-then. If Bateman watches Babe, then she cries. If-then form. Check it. So we just did the second box. So has an if, has an then. However, let me tell you about these different pieces. The if part is the first part of the sentence. It's also the hypothesis, which is also, are you ready? The P. That's the notation for it. So on your reference sheet, when it has the P, it's talking about the if part. Okay, so the then part is the second part of the sentence, which is the conclusion, which stands for what letter, guys? Q. It's the Q. So when you see the Q, it's talking about the then part. So under hypothesis, just maybe remind yourself that hypothesis is the P, conclusion is the Q. Okay, converse. Go to your reference sheet. Didn't converse say Q then P? Yeah. All right, let's sneak that in right underneath it. So Q, arrow P. So let's use that ridiculous statement. How did it start? Did I say if Bateman watches Babe, then she cries? Yeah. So that means to do the converse, you flip the Q and P. So Q in the beginning was then she cries. The if part was if Bateman watches Babe, so we go backwards. So on this one we would put if Bateman is crying. So if Bateman is crying, then she watched Babe. That part where he's like dancing for the pig, it's like the most ridiculous part. I can't help but cry. Isn't that so weird? It's embarrassing. But now I've admitted it. Okay, here we go. Negation. Negation, the symbol for negation is squiggly. Do you see that on the reference sheet? Some of them have a squiggly and then a P, or a squiggly and then a Q. Negation just means do the opposite. So if it says isn't, you would do is. If it says like is, you would say isn't. You negate it. We'll practice that in just a second. Okay, inverse. Inverse. So converse is switched. Inverse, does it have one of the squiggly signs? Is it squiggly P then squiggly Q? Okay, so write that in your notes. Squiggly P, then squiggly Q. So that means keep your original P and keep your original Q. So the original was, if Bateman watches Babe, then she cries. So we have to negate it. So we would put if Bateman is not watching Babe, then she is not crying. Do you see how I did that? I'll write it up here. So you start with the original. If Bateman is watching Babe, but it's the inverse, we do the opposite. So if Bateman is not watching Babe, then she's not crying. Okay, contrapositive. This is the one where I always get nervous. Contrapositive, is it negate the Q and then negate the P? Look on your reference sheet. Is that true? Okay. So contrapositive, we've got to make it backwards and we have to negate it. However, we already did the backwards one. We've already done converse, so I always try to do that one first and then I negate it. So converse, we already did it backwards. We put the Q and then the P. So this one would be, if Bateman is not crying, then she is not watching Babe. Okay, equivalent statements. It would be two statements that are either both true or both false. They both have to be the same thing. So if it was my notes, I would just write down they're either both true or both false. If they're the same either way, you would say they're equivalent statements. So, stupid example, if Bateman watches Biggest Loser, then she cries. True statement. I don't know what it is about that show. Or, second one, if Bateman watches Babe, then she cries. Those are both true statements, so they would be equivalent. Okay. All right, let's go to the next page. Are you ready? Okay, so this one, what are the directions? Does it say write in if-then form? Yeah, it does. So we have a sentence. Now we have to slap in if somewhere and put in the then somewhere. So the first example, okay, circle this. There's already an if in there. If there's already an if in the beginning statement, use that as the if part. So right here for the solution, let's put something like if 3 points lie on the same plane. All right, board magic. I already got this ready, so I'm going to erase it and make sure that's what it put. Yep. If 3 points lie on the same plane, so I just kept using the after the this part, the after the if part. And then just copy down the first part. Then the 3 points are coplanar. Okay, and then as far as the other sentences, I always just put if at the beginning and then in the middle. So that next one, water freezes at temperatures below 32 degrees. I would put something like, if water is freezing, then the temperature is below 32 degrees. I just sneak in the if at the beginning and the then in the middle. Christian, you still with us? Okay. Good enough. So last one, an even number is divisible by 2. I did something like, if a number is even, then it's divisible by 2. Just have to tweak it a tiny bit. Oh, this is great practice. Okay, so we've got this statement. If the sun is shining, then we are not watching TV. Kind of makes sense. Inverse, converse, contrapositive. So inverse, I would start practicing that notation. So go to your reference sheet. Can I get a hand in the air? Will you tell me what the notation is for inverse? I always get scared I'm going to do it wrong. Tyler, what is it? Squiggly P, squiggly Q. Okay, let's write that on our notes. So we've got to negate the P and then negate the Q. Okay, when it starts with the P and then goes to Q, do we have to rearrange the sentence at all? has the squiggly negate signs, we just have to change it. So it starts with if the sun is shining, how do we negate it? There you go. So put if the sun is not shining, let's start with that. Okay, and then it says then we are not watching TV. How do we negate that one? Colton, what do you think?
We just change not into are.
Yeah, then we just put then we are watching TV. We just do the opposite of it. Stick it in. Okay, can I get a hand in the air? Will you help me with the notation for converse? Look on your reference sheet. What's the notation for converse? Ellie, what is it?
Q arrow P.
Q arrow P. Oh, so that one we have to just put it backwards, right? So Q arrow P just means start with what you ended with, end with what you finished with. So let's put, if we are not watching TV, then the sun is shining. Okay, last one, contrapositive question, Allie?
Are we gonna have to memorize like inverse?
No, that's a great question. Allie's question, do you have to memorize inverse, converse, contrapositive? No. I'll give you the reference sheet every single time. Every quiz, every test, I want to get you guys comfortable with this. I still hesitate. Like, I think about it, I'm like, okay, contrapositive, I just told you, I hesitate with this one. Isn't that negate Q, negate P? All right? Okay, so let's write it down. Negate the Q, then negate the P. I always try to do the converse before contrapositive, so then I know what order it goes in, and then I just have to remember to negate it. So I take this green, and I just make it the opposite. Let's go back to red. So it says if we are not watching TV, so we'd say if we are watching TV, then the sun is not shining. Negate both of them. Whew. Okay, next question. I asked about the if then. Thumbs up, thumbs hazy, thumbs down. How do you feel about inverse, converse, contrapositive? How do you feel about those ones? Remember, you've got your reference sheet from here on out. This literally is yours, and then I'll always try to attach it to quizzes and tests. I want to stop here on the notes, and we'll finish it tomorrow. So I'm about to pass out the worksheet, but are you going to do the entire worksheet? No, all you have to do is numbers 1 through 5, and then jump to 11, 12, and 13. We'll just finish our notes tomorrow.